is less than 2 weeks to go until the kickoff to the Rugby World Cup, and a sold-out Twickenham looks set for a Tier 1 heavyweight matchup to whet their appetite for the big dance. It's the All Blacks versus the Springboks, and it is sure to get everyone in the mood for the Rugby World Cup. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back along to your home of rugby, and the build-up preparation for the Rugby World Cup continues on with just less than 2 weeks to go till the Rugby World Cup kicks off finally in France. And these two teams are going nowhere short of all out against each other here in this final hit out for these two nations. New Zealand and South Africa have pretty much put out the best teams they can muster, and we are sure to be in for a very exciting matchup as well. Looking through the key highlights of these two sides and where this match could be won and lost, there's a number of specific areas where these two sides can really step it up. The front row is going to be especially important with De Groot, Coles and Lomax will be going head-to-head with Kitshoff, Marks and Maholba. Those 1, 2 and 3 positions are going to, as always, be ever so key. The forward pack for the Springboks is always so important, and when you look through the side, you see monsters and you see big men, and that is going to be where this All Blacks back row has to really step up their game. Luke Jacobson comes in for the injured Shannon Frizzell, and an unchanged continuation of this back row featuring Sam Cane and Ardie Savia, and their big task will be to take on the captain Khaleesi, and of course the big man at the back, Dane Vermeulen. Look out for the backs though, they can really set about some excitement, and the combination of Faf de Klerk and Marnie Libbok looks set to be the one that's going to set the Springboks forward in the Rugby World Cup. The King is back in the lineup, and he'll start on the left wing up against Will Jordan, whereas Mark Talia for the All Blacks will go against Curly Orense. The midfield, look out for this big battle. Big men in midfield as well, with plenty of pace and power. Andre Esterhuizen, he is the big one in the middle with Geordie Barrett opposing him. And then the pace boys, Rico Ioane and Cannon Moody. At fullback, Beauden Barrett and Damien Willemse steps in for Willie Leroux, one who really can be exciting, and much like Beauden Barrett, likes to get in and make the plays against broken defensive lines. Plenty of feature off the bench as well, with both sides going for a 6-2 forward dominant bench. So look out for what these big guys are going to do as this match wears on, and the game plan for both of these teams certainly is set in stone from the outset. Just the two backs each, both going with a scrum half in Roygaard and Reinach, and it is for the All Blacks, Antonina Brown, traditionally a centre, and Willie Leroux, of course, we know, more than capable at most positions in a backline. To get things set up here, the Twickenham crowd will be spoiled to get another All Blacks haka. Aaron Smith leading the way. The challenge is laid down by the All Blacks. The Twickenham crowd are roaring with appreciation of what they're about to witness. The Springboks, of course, in the green and gold. And the All Blacks, if you need told what colour they're in, you might need some help. As underway we go. And Dane Coles finding Ethan de Groot earlier wide to Will Jordan. And Rico Ioane hits it up for the first time. The All Blacks set a light on the 10-metre line. Just inside their own half as Aaron Smith goes on an adventure, and Aaron Smith breaks the defensive line and runs away from Faf de Klerk. What a start for the All Blacks! What a start for international rugby, and what a start to this game. 2 phases, and it featured one of the brightest little sparks from Aaron Smith that we have seen in quite some time. 2 side steps, a dummy, and a 50-metre rush to the try line. Past Khaleesi and, of course, Willemse. Sold down the river with a beautiful dummy. And when you take the fact that the All Blacks have only had 5 or 6 players to have touched the ball, and already they lead this one 5 points to 0. And Richie Mo'unga says, give me 2 more. It's 7-0, the All Blacks up. And it's been a fiery start to this encounter after just 4 minutes of action. Well, not quite what you had in mind there. A ferocious start from the All Blacks, who get the ball straight back, and it's an instant replay. Coles to the group this time. It's Mo'unga who changes direction and squirts this one forward, down to Willemse, who was smoked in a massive tackle by the All Blacks chase. Ardie Savea was there in an instant. Here's de Klerk, a little kick over the top, spiral punt, finding Will Jordan, who's turned, and he's found Aaron Smith, who is in incredible form already tonight. Eventually taken to ground by Jacobson. Smith waits, finds captain Sam Cane, who takes on the defensive line and a couple of metres extra towards halfway. Smith again, back to Mo'unga. And he kicks this one down the centre of the park and gives Willemse a bit of a chase. Turns and finds Will Jordan steaming front at him. He kicks this one back down to nearly the All Blacks 22. Mark Talia has it, finds Bonan Barrett, and they give it a bit of width there. Ardie Savea nicely out to Will Jordan. Dummies past one. Mpipi left for dust. Up against Willemse. Good tackle by the Springboks fullback, and surely a turnover coming the way. Willemse does very well. And it's a clear and kick from the Springboks. Oh, Bonan Barrett looked to dummy, didn't get away with it. Short one. Whitelock back inside to Groot. Another strong carry from the All Black loose head prop. All the possession going with the All Blacks so far as the Springboks get some numbers in there and turn it over. Mahova, nice ball, and Mooney, Cannon Mooney! Daisy run from Mooney in midfield, and the Springboks strike back. One face turnover, and a gaping hole the size, well, not even a bus to describe that one. It was so big that I think even Stephen Kitshoff could have sparked through that one. It was a dummy, though, that sold Bonan Barrett, and that was the magic of it as he scorched away to grab the opening points for the Springboks. And Cannon Mooney in midfield. How about that? How good has he been? We'll tell you, he's been exceptional. Mani Libbok converts the try, and the Springboks are now back on even keel at 7-7. And we have 20 minutes of action passes by already, and we have been treated to some fantastic rugby early on. Richie Mo'unga resumes play. Nicely taken from Esterhuizen as well, as the Springboks once again start the journey to get out of their own half, as Khaleesi pops it back inside. Now, here is Etzebetha. Nice little ball away to Curly Olinsa. He breaks a couple of tackles, and Bonan Barrett rushes up from fullback and puts him to ground. Just 5 minutes gain of de Klerk with the error. Ball knocked on, and the All Blacks advantage on their side. Look to use it as Aaron Smith struggles to find the ball back to his captain, Sam Cane. Barrett, this time Scott with the carry. Here's Ardie Savea once more. No way around the fringe there. The referee says no advantage gained. And we will set ourselves up for the opening scrum of the night.
Bind.
With the scores tied up at 7 points apiece. This will be the interesting one here. Good start from the All Blacks. Got the early shove and held tight after that. So they'll have the ball. And at 7-7, Mo'unga into midfield. Rieko Ioane, one ball. Here's Will Jordan. How's the pace? How's the legs? How's the defence? It's very good. It is extraordinary from Damian Willemse to create all that space for Will Jordan and still hack him down inside the 22. Well played. Franco Mostert, the man this time for the Springboks. Here's de Klerk. Well, there's no one back here for the All Blacks. This is a great nudge from de Klerk. Bonan Barrett flying back, gets there eventually, and de Klerk takes him with him. 22-22 here. The All Blacks going from on attack to now on defence as Aaron Smith suffers the fate of de Klerk and knocks the ball on. The two scrum halves are having all the action go their way at the moment. Good, bad and ugly. They're taking it all within their stride early on. Good chance here though for the Springboks to actually put some points on the board and give themselves a lead.
Crouch, bind.
Pretty much right on the 22 by the time it sprints out the back here of Dane Vermeulens' feet. Fed from de Klerk, and it's a solid scrum once again from the Springboks. De Klerk, he's going for a bit of a carry now, trying to replicate the opening try from Aaron Smith.
Release.
Comes back eventually there for Detoy, short side. Khaleesi changes his mind, and another big gap in midfield. It's surely another try of the Springboks. It'll hold up, and Mooney has been tripped. What a trip it was too from Barrett. It goes back inside, and that's a Beth is a metre short. Well, I don't know how they didn't score that, the Springboks, but they're still wide on attack, and they've got the numbers. Esterhuizen, Lebok can't get through there. Good tackle. Once again, the All Blacks defence holding up. This will be monumental if they can keep the Springboks out here. Marks back to Esterhuizen, and he's driven to ground. Backwards slightly now, 10 or 12 out. The Springboks, they get it wide. Connie Onitsa! Springboks lead, and they'll take it into the half. Well, it was inevitable. It really looked that way. How they didn't score 3, 4, 5, 6 phases before this baffles me to the end of the days. But this one had to come eventually. The All Blacks defence was stout, but it was that cutout pass through and over the head of Cannon Moody that found this guy, Curly Onitsa. And an expert finish too. Gives the Springboks the lead. And Marnie Lebok looks to add the extra two, but he's shaved it away to the right-hand side. Unsuccessful kick from Lebok as the Springboks lead is just the 5. But at half-time, that is 5 points in front that they will be happy to have on their side. It's been an opening 40 minutes and it's seen the All Blacks dominate possession, but not dominate the scoreboard like we'd normally expect. Both sides doing a fair share of defence there on the tackle count, but it's the All Blacks who have made the extra line break unrewarded with just the 1 try. 7 points to 12, it is the All Blacks who are trailing the Springboks at half-time. This one far from over though. Good, we've seen some action, we've seen some tries, 3 already tonight as Richie Mo'unga gets back underway, and that's a very good tackle there on Peter Steph. Detoy from Jordy Barrett. Here's de Klerk. Once again looking for the territory gain rather than running the ball out. Boden Barrett's back there. He turns and he fires this one very nicely. Very nicely placed kick from Boden Barrett. Just over the halfway line. And puts the pressure back on the Springboks to exit their half comprehensively. Here's Malcolm Marks to throw. Oh, plucked out from Scott Barrett. Now the real pressure starts to begin. Jordan in midfield. Rico Ioane giving out to Mark Talia. Gets him the extra man in the back line. Slips it back in. That's nice from Adi Savia. Richie Mo'unga shows the dummy. And the pace on the outside of Damien Vermsa. And Richie Mo'unga puts the All Blacks back on level terms. Well, it's topsy-turvy rugby here, but both teams showing excellent ability at launching attacks. Mark Talia did very well, as did Adi Savia, and it was that dummy there that just gave the hesitation on Phillips' cover. And we know Richie Mo'unga has got plenty of pace in those feet. And you add on that extra few metres for them having reared in there as well. Can he convert the try and give the All Blacks the lead? He sure can. It's 14-12. New Zealand leading South Africa as we venture our way through the second half. Marnie Lebok is back to halfway. 12-14 now the score. The Springboks surrendering their lead as Shorty Barrett takes the kickoff down, and the All Blacks slowly meander their way towards contact again. Here's Jacobson playing at 6. Here's a run from Lomax. Takes on Lebok and eventually comes wide Full Jordan, who decides that it's not the action, but Rieko Ioane says, I'll just go straight through the middle, thanks. Here's Savia, back to De Groot. De Groot's been outstanding. He's got it to Jordy Barrett. He can't quite get away. The cover defence has got enough, but here's Ardie Savia. Oh, the All Blacks. Incredible rugby. Keep up with who's got the ball if you can. The Springboks struggled in those last few seconds. Well, it was brilliant there for Rieko Ioane. Ardie Savia turned it back to De Groot, went back to Jordy Barrett, and then he in turn showed the dummy, flicked it back on the cut, and there was Ardie Savia. Boy, that was impressive. Very hard to keep track of. A number of players involved a number of times. Rieko, the initial buster, but Jordy Barrett was heavily influential throughout their play, as was, of course, the scorer, Ardie Savia. Here is Mo'unga. Oh, it looks like he's nudged that one to the left. Unsuccessful kick there. And it results in the All Blacks lead, staying at just 7, not going up to that much more preferred 9 points. And the opportunity for the Springboks to fight their way back. Well and truly open. Here's Lomax. Oh, he's run into a heavy tackle there. Franco Mostert. Smith holds up nicely for Mark Talia. Now he's got Mo'unga on the shoulder. Can he find him? He does! Richie Mo'unga's away again. Fifth to Clerk. Shepherds him to the corner. But it's Mo'unga. He's got a double. And how about I missed the kick, lads? But I'll score a try instead. Mo'unga grabs 2. And the All Blacks extend their lead now out to 12 points. Well, it was perfectly weighted there from Aaron Smith, who drew it in and a flat fast ball out to Mark Talia, who took out the defence of Damian Willemse and set away the run of Richie Mo'unga, who has been in impeccable form tonight. He was one of the real concerns of injury. An era the All Blacks have a questionable amount of depth here as Mo'unga slides it off the left-hand upright and away. But the lead is still there, 24-12. New Zealand over South Africa. Here at Twickenham, packed house as well, here to see 2 of surely the top 4 frontrunners for the Rugby World Cup before it gets underway. Of course, the All Blacks did win the meeting between these two sides earlier in the year, defeating the Springboks, and now the second matchup. Of course, nothing like the Rugby Championship riding on this one as Jordy Barrett wiggles his way through, leaves it behind, and another run there for Dane Coles. Here's Smith to Ardie Savia. Good tackle. Wrapping up the ball and not allowing the release there to Jordy Barrett. There's Scott Barrett instead. Bono Barrett up in the line. Spills the ball, trying to keep it up. And now the Springboks could strike. Here's de Klerk running, trying to get through. The big grip of Scott Barrett. The referee says, no, there's no chance at all of that. We'll be having a scrum instead. Well, you saw what he was trying to do there. If we'll get a replay, and we will, Bono Barrett, watch the work of having the ball very high here. Up over his head almost, about neck hit level. And you see he was looking to get above the tackler and pop that one over the shoulder.
Crouch. Bind.
Faf de Klerk with another scrum feed. This one's just outside the 22. Good position to attack here for the Springboks. Let's see what they can manage. 25 out, de Klerk. Holds it up at the back. He's popped it short to Detoyu. Just detaches very quickly off the side of the scrum. Yes, it's a very slow ball here. Stephen Kitshoff, even he's getting hungry waiting for it. It goes short to Khaleesi. He bundles through a couple. Very good run from the captain. Turned over. Speaking of captains, it's Sam Cane. Lomax off the offload from Aaron Smith and turned over. Ensabeth, Owenema Pimpi. Here's Esther Hazen gunning into the corner. Khaleesi in tow. And he gets there very quickly too. Fast ball from Mullen. Off to Mpimpi! That is fantastic! Brilliant rugby from the Springboks, who say this one's not done yet. Oh, Dane Vermeulen. Incredible from the big number 8. Lovely line here from Esther Hazen on the inside channel. And quick recycle thanks to the captain, Khaleesi. But that ball there, incredible. Even though Vermeulen went straight over the top of Aaron Smith, he could have gone himself, but he just dropped it off to the king, Marcus Mpimpi. who puts the Springboks right back in this game. Now this kick very important. Get this money, Libbok. You're in for a chance of 9 to play. Oh, and he's just managed to put it out wide. And the score will remain 24-17. The lead, though, is still just 7. Libbok could have cut it down to 5 if he nailed that kick. But unfortunately for the Springboks, it has gone astray. His marks met heavily from Marty Savia. And now what do you do here? Minutes to play behind, and a high shot coming in. Geordie Barrett. Well, that could affect his World Cup moments. No card of yet, but of course everything is very well scrutinised these days. Here's Libbok, takes a tap, and very calmly takes on the defence as well. Springboks not kicking this, they're just going to run it out. 60 metres to go. And a struggle with the breakdown as well. They've lost the ball. 4 minutes to play. Aaron Smith has it. Wide for Rieko Ioane. He takes the tackle, and a very good one too of Moody. Here's Talia. Riding 2 tackles. Another couple of metres there. Smith picks and goes. Takes on Vermeulen. Another
Release.
Re-attendance of that meeting between the two. Here's Kane. Goes to Savia, a bit of width on it, finds Geordie Barrett, cut out pass to Jordan. Jordan back inside, finding Coles. Coles pops up for Kane. They go early. Mo'unga back to Ioane. They go to Lomax. It's eventually a Savia. Keep up if you can. The All Blacks don't want the try. They just want to win the game. And they've kicked it to touch. Very confusing finish. No one knew what the game plan was. Some were trying to keep the ball alive to score. Others were trying to kick the ball out. Eventually, Richie Mo'unga says, enough of this. And the All Blacks hang on to a 7-point lead. And they have done the double of the Springboks in 2023. Will they meet again in the Rugby World Cup? Well, you'll have to stick around to see if that does happen. 4 tries to 3. Savia, Smith and Mo'unga with the double. Only 2 from 4 off the tee for Mo'unga. Mapimpi, Moody and Arunsa for South Africa, with Mani Libbok getting 1 of his 3 attempts as well. 24-17, a game in which the All Blacks dominated possession, and when you do that, you definitely limit the chances of your opposition. Springboks over just 34% of the ball, did very well to pick up 3 tries. Unfortunately for them, the goal kicking was off, and the try scoring defensively was just not good enough to keep the All Blacks astray. A very good matchup though, intriguing one to see in the build up to the Rugby World Cup. Of course, there'll be more games this weekend before we have just one more free weekend until the Rugby World Cup kicks off. The All Blacks will be in action. They'll be taking on France, so make sure you stick around and stay tuned to the channel. We've got so much content coming out. We've got shorts on the squads. We've got live streams for games and for just chilling out and chatting some rugby. We'll have previews, reviews, and matches coming your way during the Rugby World Cup. So don't forget to hit that subscribe. Big thanks to all the members for chipping in and helping out with the channel as well. And I'll see you all next time for plenty more rugby action. Until then though, take care.